a while
Okay,
ago.
I want to break this down a little bit and talk about it. Okay,
Because it was on Twitter. My bad.
It was. No, you're good. I sent you. There's a live leak in the CFC chat right now. Adam,
All right, yeah,
thanks
riff for a second. Riff for a second. I'll get it pulled up.
So if you guys have probably seen this, it's been pretty popular floating around the interwebs, okay? There are 2 police officers that enter this woman's house. She actually called them to be there, all right? And they realized that she had a pot of water going on the stove, and they asked her to go turn it off, right? And she went over there. She made a comment, which to me, right, and this is hindsight 2020, this is just my opinion that needs to be stated, all right? She made a joke about how she was going to use that water to expel the demons. And then the cop who is leading this response makes the comment that he will shoot her in the face, okay? And again, this is all, I'm speculating what this woman is thinking. To me, it puts her in that fight or flight mode, right? And if Chris, you can pull it up, all right? We talk about this. She ended up losing her life in her apartment. I want to talk about it as a former law enforcement professional. This is something that I want to kind of start doing on these episodes with you guys, and I want to get your opinions.
Got it right
Chris,
here. This is the one?
Yep.
Stick around for your paperwork.
I don't know where my ID is.
You have that stack right there, maybe? I think I'm hurt. You don't need a fire while we're here.
Right.
They told her to go into the kitchen here and turn the stove off.
Okay.
Away from your hot steaming water.
Away from my hot steaming water?
Yeah.
Oh, I was just used to in the name of Jesus.
Kind of looking at the general
I'll fucking shoot you in your fucking face.
state of the apartment. I mean, it looks generally clean. Oh, he's drawn down. Why is he drawn down? Now his partner's drawn down just because.
Shots fired! Shots fired! Shots fired!
Honestly, you can kill it right here. There's minutes, there's time after this, but like that's the bulk of what it is. Okay, so let's break this down real fast here. Okay, somebody who's been on a lot of responses in these things. Okay, so we're money quarterbacking this, and it needs to be stated that we're money quarterbacking this, and this hindsight is 2020. Okay.
Sure.
First off, if you have ever been in somebody's house, you're responding to a domestic, you're responding to any sort of call where somebody called you and invited you in their house, it is day one shit that you do not let them into places like bedrooms or kitchens once you are on scene, because a kitchen has what? A knife block, it's got scissors. Okay, you don't let people in bedrooms because what do they store in their bedrooms? Their guns, all these things. Okay, she made a comment. She said, right, yeah, my F-15, my F-35, because Adam's a couple years behind me. Okay, right, get on my level, dog. First, she says, I rebuke you in the name of Jesus. To me, that sounds like a joke, right? And if that's me on scene, I would have taken that as a joke. But first off, if that was me on scene, I would not have let her in the kitchen to turn the stove off. If I noticed that something was going on the stove, I would have said, hey, ma'am, I noticed you're boiling some water over there. I'm going to go turn this off. It wouldn't even have been an option. I would have walked into the kitchen, turned it off, entire situation diffused. You let her into the kitchen and created this situation where you ended up taking her life, okay? She did chuck the pot of water at them once she was on the ground, okay? To me personally, feel like this is somebody who's fearing for their life and is trying to defend themselves, reminding you that she called them there, okay? I would love to get Chris and Adam your take on this. To me, I feel like this is not a justified killing. The second she made the comment about I rebuke you in the name of Jesus, talking about the pot of water, he said, I will shoot you in the fucking face. You do not talk to people like that at all.
No,
you are not in danger. So when you are a police officer, you are given 3 different things that you have to meet to use to justify your use of lethal force before you go before a use of force board. It is opportunity, it is capability, and it is intent. Does the perpetrator have the opportunity to do what they say they're going to do to you? If you are at the opposite end of a football field and you say, I am going to stab you, do you have the opportunity to do that? No, you don't. Do you have the intent? I think you do because you said that. Do you have the capability to do that because you have a knife? Sure, but you do not meet 3 out of 3 of those items. If you are on a kitchen and I put you in that kitchen because I asked you to turn the stove off, and I'm on the other side of a counter and I say to you, I'm going to shoot you in the face. Okay, you created that situation. That person does not have the opportunity to truly harm you. You can remove yourself from that situation. Okay, that pot of water is only going to fly so far. The opportunity, absolutely, she has the pot. The intent, I don't even know if that meets the intent because she did not say I'm going to hurt you with that pot of water. There are things here that she doesn't.
Yeah, that's what I was going to jump in and talk about, bro. It's like when it comes to like lethal force, like am I going to eat a face full of like boiling water? Like I feel like kind of fast enough that I can dodge most of it, and if it gets on my uniform and it burns, like
Or you
third
can
degree
egress back and get away from it.
Right. Yeah, so everything about that just seemed like he was looking for an opportunity to draw down on this woman. I didn't buy anything about that situation. By the way, like, you can usually tell in lethal force situations when things start to escalate toward that, like, we're getting ready to, like, use lethal force, and at no point during that video did I ever feel like she was that
An
person
actual
that was
threat.
just like, right.
Yeah.
There's those
She
random
called
people
them
that are
there.
like, right, and
Yeah.
so nothing about that seemed to me like it warranted even drawing the weapon, right?
And
like
Alpha Armory
and they
in
were
the
they
chat
were both
says-
they were both wearing tasers too, right? So like why
Right.
why skip over less than lethal
Absolutely,
means
man.
to go
Lit-
straight to
As a police officer, you were taught to de-escalate situations, not use
Right.
escalating language. You're taught neutral stances so that people feel less threatened by your presence, okay? And something
Right.
that people don't understand, too, is that your voice and the commands you give people is technically a use of force. If I'm
right.
telling
No, it's,
you
it's
that
basically
you need...
everything opposite of how we do CQB in special forces, because
Right,
everything
if-
about how we do CQB
You're right.
is about like
Absolutely.
making people
And-
fucking scared,
Right, and
like
I've
as
been
scared
on-
as we can make them.
Right, and I've been on EST emergency services teams before, and that is your point. You're going direct to threat. This is not the same situation.
Right.
You are supposed to de-escalate the situation, right? And Alpha Armory in the chat says, I read that the shooter cop had been at 6 departments of 4 years. He was a liability. He was a walking red flag. Boondock says, question, why not taser? Absolutely, you can jump
Yeah,
to the taser,
see, I brought
right?
that
So,
up. Yeah.
right. No, I mean, and these are all things. And again, right, so you talk about qualified immunity. You're talking about Graham versus Connor, which is a Supreme Court case, which is supposed to protect police officers from situations like this, okay? I feel like this doesn't qualify because you made the statement before you were actually in danger that I will shoot you in the fucking face. That is not
Yeah.
a command.
Well, and I'll just I'll interject something, like, as a EMT firefighter who, you know, used to do this stuff all the fucking time. Like, one, they should have just, like, talked to her until EMS got there. Obviously, she was having a mental health crisis. That would be the first analysis, right?
I mean,
Yep.
possibly. She seemed
You
pretty.
know,
She seemed pretty calm to me.
She
though.
could, but I mean, I normally, like, if I'm walking through the door and I see that, like, you know, not that I'm not a Christian, but, like, you know, I rebuke in the name of Jesus. I'm taking 3 steps back. I'm calling for medical assistance.
You
know,
think-
I'm
Yeah,
not,
that's a good point.
you know, I'm not going to show any type of threat. I'm not pulling a weapon. I'm not going to try to do any of those things as a police officer, right? But that person obviously needed help, and it just, especially the distance that he was from her. Like, this wasn't like, oh, I'm standing next to her and she was immediately trying to threaten and burn me with boiling water, which, you know, that can
Right.
definitely cause some problems. But, like, he was like a solid 10, 15 feet away on the other side of the room. You know what I mean? And he even said, I'm going to shoot you in the fucking head. Like, it wasn't even like, I'm going to aim for center mass. I'm going to shoot you in the head. That's what he said.
Right.
Yeah.
You know? And,
Yeah,
like,
everything about
it's-
that situation seemed like he wanted to go lethal.
He
Like,
escalated
he was
the
he was
situation.
hoping for it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, nothing about in my
No.
mind, nothing about that is okay at all. There's a lot of opportunities there for you to de-escalate that situation. You are not in the splash zone, so to speak, when it comes to that. You would have the opportunity to move out of the way of that water, okay? And Adam, and I love that you said this, okay? That you're there. There's a mental health situation going on. I responded one time to a suicide attempt. We ended up getting the guy out of the noose, off of the wall where he was trying to hang himself, okay? Long story short, this person ended up trying to stab me with like a dressing knife, like a Bowie knife, okay? All of these situations like that can go from 0 to 100 real
Sure.
fast, and that is a fact, okay? But your actions on scene once you're there will dictate what happens, okay?
Yes.
You have just as much say, like you like to say, Chris, like the enemy gets a vote, okay? You have
Right.
the opportunity to dictate what happens once you're on scene, and you are in charge once you get there. The second they let her go into the kitchen to turn the stove off, you have
Right.
now created the opportunity for this situation to happen that way. To me, you are 100% liable because you did not do the most common sense thing that you are shown day one. And Alpha Armory in the chat, back me up on this. You know, right? And I'm sure they teach this at FLETC as well. You do not let people go into kitchens. You don't let them go into bedrooms. anything like that. You need to remove them from the situation at all. Yeah, no, and I just wanted to cover that because this is something.
And on top of that too, Brandon, like I want to say a thing about our channel. Like we are not one of these like mindless right wing, like back the blue no matter what, like thin blue line, like hell yeah, brother. Like no. It's your civic duty to hold all of your public servants accountable. Like police officers can be corruptible, just like judges, just like politicians, just like anybody can be corruptible. And if they're not, like. I've actually had the conversations with my kids. If you answer the door and you see a police officer on the other side of it, like my son knows how to handle that. Excuse me, Mr. Police Officer, can I see your badge, please? What are you doing here? I said, Carson, what if he asks to come inside? Ask him to see a warrant. And I said, do you read the warrant in front of him? No, Dad, shut the door and read the warrant behind the door. That is correct. Find your mother.
It's
like
Jay-Z
you
101,
have to.
dog.
Right. You have to, and it's like we that's the country that we're in now. It doesn't matter what race that you are. Like we've seen it. We've seen Capitol Police in D.C. completely take advantage of people. I've seen videos of them firing tear gas into the middle of crowds, which is like you fire tear gas canisters from a 40 Mike cannon, like that will mess somebody up.
That will kill you
if the canister hits you. And I've seen the videos of them doing that. That is in.
You can take a
there is
Cheeto
no
round
tactical
to the head
manual.
And it could kill you, dude.
Yeah, there's no tactical manual in the world that says that that's okay to do. And yet they did it.
Right.
Yeah, so
I mean, we don't know how the situation is going to play out for these guys. And again, man, qualified immunity. And if you're not familiar with the Graham versus Connor case, right? This is what protects cops from situations and when the decisions they make in these split-second decisions. Look up Graham versus Connor if you're not familiar, right? It involves a diabetic fleeing the police officer, trying to get some orange juice so that he can regulate his blood sugar, okay? And there was a situation with that, right? So, but this is a real Supreme Court case. These things, they happen all the time. I just want to talk about them because I want people to understand that you're a private citizen. Police officers are not God. When they show up to your house, you have rights. Understand your rights. And it goes back to what Chris and Adam and I were saying earlier in the show. You must be an active participant in this republic. And that means understanding your rights. It means understanding what the civic employees that work in your town, that work in our countries, are able to do with you. And when you invite them into your home, you need to understand what actually you are inviting and what can happen. That's it.